I believe that people's personalities are hardwired to some extent and constrained to some extent by brain architecture. And by our genetic inheritance as well. And I guess the best evidence for this comes from studies of identical twins raised apart. So these are twins who have identical genes, and yet they were separated early in life and actually raised in completely different families and completely different environments. And there are a lot of very nice scientific studies on twins now that show that general personalities are the same, general emotional reactions to certain life events are the same, and even some sort of behavioral tics are the same. So it's clear that our genetic inheritance and how that carries over into nervous system structure establishes constraints on behavior, and that's what you refer to as hardwiring. And I suspect that my brain, just my genetic and my neurobiological inheritance, gives me certain talents and certain proclivities that other people don't have. And other people have proclivities and talents and potential that I don't have. I don't think that my brain is identical to yours, and I don't think it ever was at any stage of development. So yes, I believe that there is hardwiring that defines each of us. But within that hardwiring, a lot goes on in terms of learning and the way that we interact with our environment and what we learn over the course of our lives. So identical twins raised apart are not identical people, even though they have certain aspects of their personality in common and certain talents in common. They're not identical people because they have had different experiences from the moment they were separated and came apart. And one thing that we know from neuroscience is that as we have different experience, our brains actually become different. Everything that we learn, everything that we experience becomes incorporated into brain structure. So that even if we started out with identical brains at a certain point in time, they're very different brains at a later point in time. So while I think that there are real differences of hardwiring that have real implications for what each of us can or does accomplish, there's a lot of freedom, if you will, for us to become different people and accomplish things that are not hardwired by the brain.